This is the newest addition to my one tile per episode series, Fort Francia Bay, and in today's video we bring in some heavy industry to the city. I'm Imperatur, just a chill guy who loves playing city building games, and you're watching me building a paper factory, train engine maintenance facility, rail yard and a massive shipyard all in one episode in the classic Imperatur speed build style. The build time was roughly 8 hours. Today we are still trying to solve the problem of the high unemployment rate and are also expanding a part of the city that has been undeveloped for a long time, namely this stretch next to the container port on the bay here. So we're also expanding the rest of the harbor and finish it off today. The first thing we're going to do though is build the paper factory, which shouldn't be too bad because of the pollution, as the wind will blow the air pollution across the bay and no residents will be affected. I also try to not designate any other industrial areas in the immediate surroundings of the factory, in order to reduce the multiplier effect. As always, we still have a lot of railroad tracks for all the freight trains around that port and industrial areas. These are mainly used as yards for long cargo trains, but can also be used to connect the whole region so that we can provide all industrial areas with a cargo connection. I'm trying to separate the cargo traffic from the passenger traffic throughout the whole region, and that's working quite well so far. That part will be therefore only used by cargo trains. It was quite a challenge to connect all the tracks here, because we had a relatively tight space available, but at the same time we had a bit of a gradient to overcome. In the end it worked relatively well. Whether it all makes super much sense how the tracks are laid out remains to be seen. So far the whole area around the bay is quite industrial, and I'm aware of that. That's not completely unrealistic, as we can see this all over American cities. The question is how we can integrate some nicer parts for our residents near the water. I definitely want to make parts of the waterfront accessible and also build newly developed residential buildings or build a city park with a huge landmark or something similar. My idea as of now would be to actually make a small river course from the bay more inland and then create a marina and small bay similar to the one near downtown Baltimore. Another idea would be to run a small canal across the plain here on the left, where the downtown is to be built later. I think that would be really cool too. Then you could also build a kind of Chicago River walk or something like that, but I'm not quite sure yet. Maybe I want the downtown to be more like Philadelphia, where we don't necessarily have a river running through the center of the city. As you can hear, I'm not quite sure yet, but we are slowly but surely approaching the future city center build. What do you think of the ideas? How would you solve the whole thing? I also wanted to squeeze a road between the rails and the factory, as this is the main access road for the port and an increased volume of truck traffic is expected, but the whole thing is probably way too over-engineered again, and we don't need that many roads and tracks, but that's my favorite thing to build anyway, so you'll have to live with that. I hope that the next episodes won't be just industrially influenced again, like the last two have been, but we just need these jobs, and I don't know how else to solve it, maybe with commercial and office areas, but they will be mainly located in the city center, which we build very soon, I promise. Here we are preparing a locomotive maintenance facility. To do this, I've simply used the extension of the rail yard of the static buildings mod. The whole build is, as always, not really functional, which is just a shame, but the whole rail yard would definitely not have fitted in here. And it's also just for the train engines and not for the whole trains anyway, so it will be a bit smaller, of course. How I detail everything you'll see in the next chapter. Next, we detail all the tracks. For this, I use these mod surfaces and simply place them in several layers on top of each other, so that we get a nice realistic structure. All around we also use these earth texture surfaces, so that everything looks a bit unkempt, as is often the case in industrial areas. Then we add different types of bushes, and that's all there is to it. In my opinion, it's not too complicated, but it is relatively time consuming nonetheless. I would have liked the tracks not to look so clean right from the start, but to be a bit more varied, so we don't have to do it all manually. Now we take care of the locomotive maintenance plant. First of all, we put a road around the outside of the building so that we can put other smaller industrial buildings inside it, so it has a function as an industrial building at least and is not just completely decorative. Then we build a small parking lot and place a concrete surface where vehicles can drive and deliver things. Employees can also park here where they want. Then of course we use different surfaces again and detail the whole thing a bit with more industrial props. At the end we will also put a few locomotives on the tracks, which I will then color black and white in the Norfolk Southern look, so to speak, which I personally find absolutely nice. I've also got a Lego locomotive with the Norfolk Southern design, because I personally think American diesel freight trains are extremely cool looking, especially much cooler than European electrified locomotives that are super boring. Do you have any Legos at home, or what are you collecting in general? Let me know in the comments. Here I first extend the paper factory in this semicircle between the factory and the road. I think that's sometimes relatively important because all the buildings only have this rectangular floor plan, which is a bit annoying and unrealistic. I would have expected a bit more from the game, but you can't have everything, I suppose. So I place a few static buildings as these also have no road connection requirement, and I don't necessarily want to draw roads through the factory because that would then mess with the road connections and I don't want to deal with that pain. I have enough problems in the city with uncollected dead people and trash. Then I extended the harbor a bit. To do this, we placed 2 warehouses and simply enlarged the storage area for the containers and detailed everything with container props, of course, but also with more trains, barriers or light poles to light everything up nicely. Again, it's important to use different ground textures to add detail to the whole build to get that realistic look and that not everything looks smooth and in the same gray color, but different gray tones instead.
For sure, I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out. So try not to hold me down, feel alive. Troubles to rest, blow the smoke through my cigarette. City lights looking fine, and I know this is my time now. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out. So try not to hold me down, feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars, I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. I'm gonna be someone else. I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna be someone else. I'm gonna skip my breaks. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna skip my breaks. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna skip my breaks. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna skip my breaks. I'm gonna make mistakes. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive. Drive a faster car.
Here with these parked trains, the Control-C mod was relatively practical, as we could simply copy the trains and not have to build each one from scratch again. I'm very grateful that the Control-C mod is working again. It didn't work for a short time after the latest patch, but it's a very practical mod for sure. Of course, in the end it would be even cooler if there was the copy and paste function built in into Move It like in CS1, but I just want to thank all modders again for their extreme commitment to the franchise. All the mods are still in in their early stages, but this is not a matter of course, and you keep the game alive and make it playable in the first place, so thank you very much again. In general, I think it always looks very cool to have some trains parked here and there, especially the really long ones look super cool, but unfortunately, the train length of the vanilla cargo trains is way too short in the vanilla game. That's why I was extremely happy about these super long American freight trains back in the City Skylines one days. And when these got released, these were such moments I can still remember super well, because they sparked the flame for the interest in the game again. When the first mods and buildings came out, I was happy like a little kid that people simply had similar interests as me, but I'm unfortunately too untalented to create mods and buildings myself. Now comes the part you've probably all been waiting for. We are building a shipyard. Of course, it won't have the same dimensions as large shipyards like the ones in South Korea or China, for example, which also build these 400-meter long container ships, but it will be roughly on the same scale as the somewhat small vanilla cargo ships from CS2. The docks will all be drained, and in one even a ship will be constructed right now. The others will only have a few props to indicate the start of shipbuilding. It was relatively difficult to create a boundary so that the inner part of the dock actually remained dry. This was only possible with double roads or footpaths, and this doesn't look very realistic in the end because the door of the dock would be way too thick like that, but unfortunately I couldn't find any other solution. You'll see for yourself later what I mean, because here these retaining walls underneath the road somehow don't hold the water, so it still flows into the dock, and of course I wanted to avoid that because, as I said, it is drained for the shipbuilding right now, but when the ship is finished, the doors get opened and the dock is flooded so that the ship can sail out at the end of the construction. I definitely can't recommend you to rebuild such a shipyard yourself, because it is simply very time consuming and very painful to build, so I can only recommend you to visit my Patreon page to download the map yourself, and maybe in the future you can add the shipyard and other builds to your own city with a Move It import. This function is obviously not available yet, but I'm pretty sure it will be in the future. This shipyard is heavily inspired by the naval shipyard near Norfolk, and if you look at the whole thing on Google Earth or in real life, you can see that these are simply extremely messy places. There are various containers or industrial cargo props everywhere, and everything doesn't really have a system, at least not when viewed from above. Of course, the people working there know what they're doing, but for a layman it looks very wild, and that's why the whole thing is so challenging to build, because you simply have to place so many individual props to make the whole thing look relatively realistic, and that's just very time consuming, especially without all the functions that Move It had in City Skylines, for example. As already mentioned, 2 docks are currently being prepared to build a ship, and in one of them, the container ship, is almost completely finished. I also used pergola props to create these scaffoldings next to the ships. There are also tracks for the various cranes around the dock. I found some tram tracks that have no overhead wires, which I used here, because I haven't really found any other asset or prop that could represent crane tracks. So I used these tram tracks, but it's a bit annoying that these are one way and now these icons are flashing all the time at the ends because the tracks aren't connected to anything else. But as of now, I've no other solution. You've also seen the whole track layout for the cranes on the naval base on Google Earth, and I wanted to build that here too. In the area of the rails, there are of course restricted areas where nobody is allowed to park. I indicated this with yellow decals. I then recolored the cranes in a baby blue color later, just to get a little more contrast in, and then I'll fill in the whole ground with concrete because we really don't see a single green area here, and I'll decorate the rest with a few more industrial buildings and props. Most of these are non-functional as we don't have road access everywhere. That's why the whole thing is unfortunately not as functional as I would like it to be, but it's also simply not possible in the current state of the game, which of course I would have liked because such a shipyard certainly brings a lot of jobs with it. But here we get maybe a total of 200 jobs because, as I said, the master part of the buildings are simply static buildings and therefore not really functional in any sense. For the rest of the episode, I will simply use various props and distribute them all over the shipyard. These include cars for the workers, but also containers and trailers. We also use the Ctrl-C mod a lot to copy and paste various props in large clusters. Without it, it would have been far too time consuming, and I'm really grateful that it's working again.
days now, been running like a child. Can't feel the cold when I'm lost here with you, lost in the woods, lost as I should. I barely see the sky now, we're safe under the trees. You tell me about your secrets and I'm falling madly. You catch me right, I'll be alright. It's all that matters really, as long as you'll be as crazy. Shadows will guide us where we've never been before. Once in a while I act like no one knows me, while backing with my eyelids closed. Yeah, my fault, I think I like it, I don't
Very cool that you stuck around to the end and watched me build the anniversary tile 20, our newest addition to Fort Francia Bay. I'm definitely really pleased with how everything turned out here. We can see the before and after, and I think now the region is also an industrial powerhouse. We built a lot of heavy industry, including a massive shipyard, and if we can solve the unemployment crisis, we'll find out in the upcoming episodes, so stay tuned and subscribe to not miss any of the next videos. Maybe I inspired you to build and detail a shipyard in your city too. Who knows? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, you can give the video a like. If you want to support me further, you can visit my Patreon site. There you will find a save game for every episode, and with this addition the city has definitely become one amazing addition richer. You are very welcome to explore everything yourself down to the last detail, but don't forget to download all the mods I use. The mod list is also available there. And we can also chat a bit and have a nice time, of course. I would like to thank all the people who have already decided to support me on Patreon so much. But can we reach 500 active patrons by next month? There are only a few missing, and that would be absolutely amazing and another big milestone. Your support over there makes videos like this on such a regular basis even possible, so if you want to see more, you know what to do. But now I say, see you for the next episode, when we'll continue with the next tile until we fill out the complete map, so please give a like if you support the project. Have a nice day and ciao ciao for now.
know.